bottom. Yeah. Okay, so we are live, take 2. I just hit broadcast and wasn't broadcasting live, so we just went through the first 2 or 3 minutes, broadcasting to nobody but ourselves. And so I've just come back live again. So yeah, it is Saturday evening. It is
and check out my channel also on Instagram, one word, Ego Dave Media. And I'm in the suburbs of London today. Really nice. It's quite different because I live in the central London. When you come out into the suburbs, there's a different atmosphere out here. So it's nice. And Roxanne lives in a really nice place, but she's got access to the city as well.
Yeah,
so
close enough to get to the city, but nice enough for it to be a bit leashy.
Yeah, so we're in suburbia tonight, so it's quite nice. Yeah, and it's Saturday night, so we're gonna have have a good time and then have a bit of a chat about different things. So what we're gonna do tonight is we're gonna do 3 separate lives, because we want to discuss, kind of stay on topic on one and then move on to the next one. We're going to do 3 lives separate, because I noticed myself, after you get into the 3rd hour of a live hangout, you kind of start fading, or even the 2nd hour. So we're just going to keep them to an hour, and then you can pick and choose, if you want to, which subject you want to watch, basically. But I would certainly suggest have a look at each individual hangout. What we're going to do is we're going to start with Flat Earth first, and then probably move on to the next topic, and then probably veganism in the 3rd topic. Yeah. So I do have some information that may be interesting certainly to students and certainly to people who are looking into these topics and kind of new to these things. So, like I say, there'll be 3 on my channel. And also on Roxanne's channel, there'll be 3 separate hangouts. It may even go longer. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
Because it's Saturday night, guys. Saturday night.
Yeah. We may be in for a long night, but Dave has got a lot that he wants to talk about. So we thought that by breaking them down, we're giving them to you in bite-sized pieces, where you can watch them on a playback and thanks to the vegan beer. Listen, Dave,
sorry,
I'm going to stop myself there. Can you just give a shout out to
all right, we're drinking vegan beer tonight, guys. No chemicals. I'm not advertising. I haven't got a stake in this, but check it out. No chemicals. You can still, drink a few beers, but without the hangover.
It's really nice.
So it's actually German. I used to live in Germany, so it's German Weiss beer, and they have a certain law that they only produce with natural ingredients. So check it out. It's certainly, if I don't do it all the time, but when I do have a nice one on a hot evening, or it's a nice fresh natural vegan beer. And there are other beers that are vegan as well. Just look into that. Talking about veganism, I've been a vegan for quite some time now, and prior to that I was a vegetarian, so we'll go into that in another section. But if you really want to refine your lifestyle and basically simplify your lifestyle, I would certainly have a look at veganism. But I want to thank Roxanne for inviting me on tonight. That was really nice. We've been good friends for quite a while now, and she does amazing, videos and awesome. You want to see her in Speaker's Corner? You can't hold it back. You know what I mean? So we actually, talking about Speaker's Corner, we speak on a regular basis. I've been speaking there for quite some time. Roxanne has been speaking there for quite some time as well. And we're actually a collective of people now that actually talk at Speaker's Corner on a weekly basis. So we've been doing it for quite a few months now. And what we're talking about different topics. We're going into all the topics, but primarily it's that we don't live on a ball spinning through space at some stupid miles an hour. Not on a ball, everyone. Let's just have that as a concrete grounding for this whole conversation, right? This conversation is starting off from, we don't live on a spinning ball. Yeah. Understand that from the get-go. I'm not here to argue the conjecture of that. We're not on a ball. End of story. Look into it. You'll see. It doesn't matter if it takes you a week, a month, or a year. You will come to the conclusion you've been lied to on a massive scale. You are being lied to. You're being lied to, yeah? You are being lied to on the biggest criminal scale ever known to mankind. And before we start off and we'll continue with that, it's a big shout out to Harry, because he was the one that pioneered this. And Harry, I know you're listening. Well done. You really kicked this off. Well done, buddy. Really. Yeah, big time. Yeah. Links so we all appreciate that, Harry. And then to all the guys that come along on a weekly basis, because it started off with only 3, 4 of us, and now it's grown. There are people coming from all different backgrounds who are speaking all different languages, you see, because Speaker's Corner, you get all the tourists coming along, and myself and Roxanne, we don't speak other languages, but now we're getting people speaking other languages, and they're approaching, you know,
joining forces like they were with Trinity 4.
And we didn't ask them to come along. They just came along and they just started off, you know. So so a big shout out to all the guys. I know you're all listening, and you know you're there. All the guys and Jason, Jason Desbury. I mean, great work on the tech side, buddy. Good.
Yeah, if you think about it, from the 24th of June, from the first time that everyone linked up at Speaker's Corner to now, the list is the length of my arm. You know, there's so many people in even just in that initial image that's on my thumbnail of everyone that was there on the 24th of June to now.
Yeah.
There's probably over 100 people that have gone there already to speak about the truth.
Yes.
Not just flat Earth, because flat Earth is the truth. Don't get me wrong. It's one of the three big, who we are, where we are, and why we're here. Yeah, it's one of the biggest ones that we're talking about. But if you're going to have a conversation and you're going to start talking about things that are also just as important, it's like the foundation core of what we're talking about.
And do you remember the first week we were there? Do you notice the difference from the first week to now? Because it was like almost like it was new. And Speaker's Corner is a
you think
it's, you know, it's quite a, anyway, it's quite a hive of activity there, and you get people talking about all different subjects. So, you know, there's quite a range of things, but we kind of stick to our own little patch there, and then a lot of the debates get into, you know, let's say more about religion, you know, and it comes from all different angles, you know. So it can be quite a place. And it was so nice for me to come to a place, because I had actually considered doing that a year ago, but I felt a little bit kind of nervous about doing it on my own. So I was so glad to be with the other guys, and we do it as a collective. But I remember the first week we did it as a collective, and people were like, "What's this? What's new?" You know, and people were really like, "Wow, what's happening?" But now we become almost like part of the furniture. I don't know if you noticed that. They say hi. People come on a regular basis. Yeah. They say hi, and that people seem a lot more open to me anyway. My own, you know, humble opinion, people seem more open, you know, and that's just in 2 or 3 months. People seem a lot more open to this than before. And of course, you know, it's something that's, you know, kind of coming into the mainstream as well. And that's what in this first section, we're going to talk about this as well. We're going to talk about flat Earth primarily. Yeah. And then, you know, the next 2 sections, and maybe even more in that section as well. But getting back to the point we made earlier, millions and millions of people are realizing this now, and I'm going to start off this live hangout asking you 2 fundamental questions, and this is to everybody in the audience. Okay. Doesn't matter your background, where you're coming from. I'm just asking you 2 very simple fundamental questions, and can you? And I you know, appreciate if you answer that in an honest way. Yeah. So wherever you are, whether you're sitting down having a glass of wine, watching TV, sitting in your back garden, whatever, I'm going to ask you this question. Can you be honest with yourself? I'm not moving. We're not moving. Yeah. So, and we're certainly not moving these astronomical speeds, you know, 1,000 miles an hour, the Earth is rotating. And then we're shooting, you know, around the sun at 66,000 miles an hour. The sun is moving 500,000 miles an hour. And then supposedly that, you know, is moving a lot faster. The whole thing is moving a lot faster. But can you imagine this corkscrew going through? I mean, it's ridiculous. It's like when you realize, when you've actually, you know, I didn't come to this lightly. I know Roxanne didn't come to this lightly either. It takes a long time. It can take months, but it's taken many of us years to come to this conclusion, you know? So getting back to that question, do you feel that you are moving right now? And I can say, we're not.
Not moving.
We're not moving.
I don't feel it.
No. So we're stationary. And the sun and the moon revolve around us. Yeah? Now, the second question, have you ever looked at water? What are the fundamentals of water? What are the properties of water that never, ever change, never have changed, and never will change, and always remain the same? Now, I put it to everybody in the audience here, and everybody, you know, who's maybe questioning this these days as well. If you take, it doesn't matter if you take your cup of tea, if you run a bath, or you look in the river, or you look on the lakes, water always conforms and it always finds its level. If it's dropping from a waterfall, fine. It'll come to a point, it'll drop, and then it will balance out and come, and it will always find its level, yeah? Now, I put it to everyone out there that as water is always level in the rivers and in the lakes, then I would conclude, or it would be natural, to conclude that water's level in the ocean. We're living on a Earth system that is 70% water. Think about that. All the continents, and then, around all the continents, the water. 70% is water. Water is always level. So the oceans are therefore always level. So we live on a, question 1, stationary. Question 2, level. Stationary level plane. We live on a stationary level plane. We're not going anywhere. We're not moving. We live on a stationary level plane. We've always lived on a stationary level plane. Or if you research, I've looked into the ancient, holy texts, and I've tried to interpret through the text. Doesn't matter whether it's the Bible, the Torah, the Quran, the Vedas. They outline it so clearly. The Hindu Vedas really outline this. Yeah. And I want to give a shout out to a guy called Wakey Wakey. Yeah. He's on YouTube. He's done an amazing, fantastic documentary on Vedic cosmology. And if you look at that, two-hour documentary, he's really laid it out quite clearly. One shout out, and we do many shout outs tonight as well. Yeah. So the shout outs, I'm actually also recommending these videos. You want to go and take a look. Yeah. But he's done some great work as well. He's been around for a few years. So that's well done, Mark. And so he's got some really, good stuff on his channel. So Wakey Wakey, that's on YouTube. Okay. So all of the ancient texts, they all point to the same conclusion, and they always have done, that we live on a stationary level plane. And certainly, I know if there are any, from people coming from the Christian aspect or from the biblical aspect, it's clearly written there, especially in Genesis. I'm not going to go too much inside of that, but if you look, you can interpret Genesis, and it's quite clear, in Genesis as well. So, so all the ancient texts all outline that we live on a stationary level plane. Think about it, guys. Do you really think that you're moving? Do you really think that you're moving those speeds? And also getting back to the ancient cultures. All of the ancient cultures knew that we lived on a stationary level plane. Whoops. All of the ancient cultures knew that we lived on a stationary level plane, or a flat Earth, you can call it, because it's the same thing. Yeah. And you can go back into all of the cultures, and they all say the same thing throughout history, going back thousands of years. I had the opportunity to spend some time with ancient tribes on quite a few years ago. And they also told me, because I got to know them quite well. This was in Thailand, and I was up in Thailand in the northeast corner next to Burma. And I was fortunate to spend quite a few weeks with an ancient culture there. And then one night we were just sitting around the fire discussing things. And I'd already, obviously considered this before. And then they were just confirming to me that, in their culture, they know, and they've always known, and they haven't changed, that they live on a stationary level plane. So all the ancient cultures are all familiar with this. All familiar. You can talk about all cultures, the Mayan, the Aborigines, all the ancient cultures. They're all familiar with this. Yeah. Unfortunately, this is, how can I say? Let's say those people that haven't been educated in such a system already know that. It's those that have been educated into another system or programmed into another system didn't maintain that. But those ancient cultures, and still the tribe people of today, they haven't changed their system. They just still follow that they live on a stationary level plane. Now, I'm going to go into a little bit of how I got level, but I've always known from a very young age, even a school age, that we lived on a stationary level plane or a flat Earth. It was only when I got older and I got to adult age that I started seriously researching it. And certainly when YouTube came about in 2007, I'm quite into tech, so I just jumped straight on there, and I was researching this all from 2007. Now it's progressed since then, because in those days YouTube was very slow, and it used to take you all day to watch half a dozen videos. But now you can just skip through them all really very quickly. So I would say really 2007 I came into this on YouTube, and then it's progressed from there up until this point. But I just want to get back into education, because I'm also coming back from a teaching aspect. I do have a teaching qualification from Cambridge in teaching adults. So from a teaching point of view, we were actually, when you're young and you go to school from a young age, 5 years old, you don't have critical thinking. You do not have critical thinking. You just kind of sponge everything up, the Santa and the Tooth Fairy and all the stuff. And you never really question after that. You just kind of, you don't have the opportunity. Certainly when I was in school, and I know these days, maybe the older kids, they can question this. But when I was in school, you couldn't question this. No, it was just, this is, everybody sits there all day like this, 9 hours or 8 hours for a kid just sitting there all day. I mean, there's some PE and whatever, but, in my opinion, it shouldn't just be sitting and just sponging in all of this, irrelevant stuff, and then having to rewrite it on an exam. We could have a far better education system. But getting back to the point is that at 5 years old and beyond that, you didn't have critical thinking. So we all didn't. We just accepted this. It's only when you become an adult again and you can re-examine and reevaluate all this information. Yeah, you can reevaluate and go through all this information again, as many have done, and also I've done. And you start to reassess it. And then you actually, start researching in depth and really going into the nitty-gritty of things, And then I'd say it took me months, if not like a whole year, to really come to the conclusion that, yeah, they're right. We live on a stationary level plane. The idea that we live on a ball is just preposterous, because, how does water conform to the exterior of a ball? It doesn't. In nature, it doesn't. There's no, in no situation does water conform to the outside of objects, So only when you're an adult can you go back and reassess this. And many people are doing this these days. And I would say that once you've really studied this in depth and really researched this, you can come to your own conclusion. Don't believe me. Don't believe Roxanne. We're not asking you to do that. That's not the point. Belief is not the point.
You take from the conversation is don't take our word for it.
No, and that's not the direction we're pointing you in. It's not a belief. We're not, because you've had enough of belief. Since a young kid, believe in Santa, believe in this, believe in that.
Yeah.
No, we're not asking for belief, and we're not. I don't have an agenda. I'm not selling anything. Roxanne's not selling. Harry's not selling anything. No. Jason's not selling. All the other guys are not selling anything.
Oh no, we are asking you to donate to get behind the biggest,
that's one thing,
and the most forefront of truth activism, and donate to Harry's Globalist UK tour. The link's in the description for this. If you click the link, you can go straight through. Donate a coffee, donate a beer. Like, even if you just donate £1 or $1, like literally, the tour kicks off on the 13th of September. It's over 50 locations. The forefront of UK activism, and donate towards John Smith Globalist UK Globalist tour.
And a big shout out to Harry.
Yeah,
Harry, you're a marathon man.
Right, you've done the most.
You're a marathon man because you're just non-stop.
Yeah. You're doing what you already do, but you're doing it better.
Brilliant. I really appreciate it. We'd all appreciate it, buddy.
Just like people take camera pictures and they want better cameras so they can take better pictures, you do activism, so you only want to do better activism. So I'm right behind you on that one.
And if there's any benefactors out, we were talking about this the other night. Yeah. If there's any benefactors out there who would like to donate to Harry, or to this, all the links there in Harry's videos, whatever. But there's anybody out there, because I know I've actually, been involved with people before. And that they say, oh, I have to pay so much tax and things like this. There are ways that you can use your tax money to fund like an organization like that, like a community like this. You can make a donation, things like that. And wouldn't you rather that money went to benefit people, to educate people, rather than, just paying taxes, where, not a lot is going to be done in these days. Not a lot is going to be done with it. So I would certainly say, I don't know how far, these videos, some of these videos are really, especially on other, Speakers Corner video content makers, are going quite far these days. So if there's anybody listening to this right now who is interested in having, it doesn't want to be on camera, who doesn't actually want to be out there in the public eye, you can, just sit back, but who has an interest in this, who may want to, put some input or to fund this, you're more than welcome to get in touch with Harry, primarily on his channel, which is John Smith Global. He's on YouTube, or right there. Yeah. The links are on FE Start as well. .co.uk. And then you can get in touch with Roxanne. Can you give your...
You can also go to my featured channels and find Dave's channel there, John Smith Global, Jason of the Disbury family, and many other channels that you can get the information from. And in the chat room just now, I think Jason of the Disbury family is sharing some links for you to click.
Thanks, Jason.
So yeah, you'll be able to get the information. Eco Dave's channels for YouTube and Instagram are on my description. So if you go into the description, you can find his links there. You can click one link and you'll be on his Instagram. Click one link and you'll be on his YouTube channel, which is a smorgasbord of information.
Thank you.
I'd like to mention John Smith Global, yes, again, but John Thor. He is a mind of information as well.
Nice one, John. Good videos.
If you go to John Thor's channel, that's like a one-stop destination for red pills.
And on his videos, really professionally done.
Yeah.
I mean, just if you want some nice content with mixture of graphics and music, and he's put out some nice videos recently. So well done, John.
If you go to the homepage of my channel as well, you'll be able to get my Instagram, which is Official Flat Earth UK. That's on Instagram. So if you go to my homepage, it's on the top right-hand corner. You'll be able to click all the links there.
And we'll speak to you later, John. We've got a couple of questions to ask you. We'll do that privately. And you're more than welcome to contact me by email. There's an email button on my Instagram. So it's EcoDave Media again. So you just click on there, and then that'll automatically send me an email. Yeah. So what we're asking, if somebody's out there, hey, the Richard Branson. Hello, Richard. If you're watching, hello.
People with fat wallets, large bank accounts,
who are willing to fund this.
Like, if you want to just if you secretly know and you don't want to come out the closet, it's okay. It's okay. If you're not ready to come out the closet, let your wallet come out the closet. Okay. So if you are like wallet fat and you want to get behind the forefront of true facts,
and you want to change society and society's view on where they live.
Anonymously, we will take anonymous.
Yes, definitely.
It's not a problem. Not a problem. So please do get in touch. I appeal to you mainly, the people with more than 6 figures in their account.
Because it would only take a small amount in relative terms, and that could be your tax money, as a charity donation, whatever. And with that amount of money, could be any amount of money, but with that amount of money, you can change society. You can change society on where, because we can't go on like this. We're ruining this. We're ruining where we live on this plane. I'll go into that on the veganism side and the eco lifestyle, but we're ruining this. We cannot keep on living this non-sustainable lifestyle. But I'll get onto that. Sorry, I don't want to jump to that. That'll probably be in part 3. So if you want to come back to that, I'm going to. Certainly, there'll be some interesting information if you're interested in like an eco lifestyle and sustainable living, basically, and veganism, of course. So anybody out there who's who does want to have an input, you can do that many ways.
Yeah.
And those people who just want to have an input, want to chat, whatever, you're welcome to get in touch with us.
I'm on Facebook as well, Official Flat Earth UK. Just go onto Facebook, type in Official Flat Earth UK. You can get hold of me on there.
Yeah, but I would certainly say, like Richard Branson, these guys, you guys with money, you've got to step up to the plate. At some point, you're going to have to step up, because we all live in the same society. We're all the same. We all live in this society. This is our own, it doesn't matter where you come from, your background. We are all live in a society. Now, wouldn't you rather do something with your money that can change things? Wouldn't you rather do something that you can leave an impression on, for your kids, your grandkids? Because we have to, we also have to change how children are educated. They can't just sit for 8 hours.
Well, yeah.
You can't just sit there. They've got to be creative. Teach them to, teach them things where they can, use their own initiative to be creative.
Yeah.
I'm going to get into this in the veganism style as well, because when you stop eating meat, you become more creative, in my opinion. So also for the kids, you know, if they can start becoming more creative themselves, poetry, you know, or whatever it is, playing music, whatever it is, you know, if they can be more creative from their initiative and teach them how to be creative. And there's things that we should be teaching in schools, like social skills, yeah, how to have your own own business and things like that. You know, it's charging. It's fine there. How to have your own business. How to grow food. Why is that not taught in school? Ask yourself that.
Yeah.
So then, you know, that we have to be dependent on other people or other corporations, you know? Why is it not taught to kids how to grow food? Anyway, I'll get into that on the eco style, you know, side basically. So anyway, getting back to that, if anybody wish to get in touch, Harry is going to be on the road for 8 weeks. Yeah. And he's been funding this for the last 3 years on his own, out of his own pocket. Yeah. So if you want to see more good,
it's non-for-profit. It's
non-profit, transparent, completely transparent. Yeah, it's all there. The GoFundMe page, the Patreon, whatever. Yeah. I mean, and if you know, if this guy's been doing all out of his own pocket, you know, and he puts out really good content. You know, it averages 5,000-10,000 views on each video. Yeah. So and he's relentless. He puts out content every single time. Every single time he goes to Speaker's Corner, the content is up within 1-2 days. Really nicely edited, and he's asking critical questions. So, you know, fund this guy because this guy knows what he's talking about. You know, he really knows what he's talking about. If you get a chance to meet him, lovely guy. Yeah. Lovely guy. You know, you'll sit down and you know, if you want to talk for half an hour, he'll talk for half an hour with you. Want to talk for an hour? He's he's a available guy. So shout out again, Harry. So anybody wants to put in, this is happening soon. When's do you want to give
13th. It's kicking off on the 13th. The tour starts on the 13th. It's not a maybe, it's not an if, it's starting on the 13th.
So why not fund this guy? I mean, you know, it doesn't have to be £5, a cup of coffee or whatever, or more if you're so inclined, you know. But check out his channel, check out his content.
It's all in the links to the description.
And I don't know whether I don't know whether Harry mentioned, but if you want to come and meet him, you know, just I think Jason the Disby's put an itinerary link. Yeah. So you know where he's going to be, and if you want to come and say hello, share some conversation with him, you know, point of views. You know, he's always open to for people asking questions about flat Earth and about, you know, stationary level planes. So he's a very accessible guy. So so he'll be on the road. Check out Jason the Disby. He's put links up there where he's going to be. And you know, if you want to, you know, help fund him, all the links are there as well. Good. Perfect. So, but getting back to the education, so we were all very young. Myself, I know myself. You know, when I was young, I had an incline. I knew from a very young age. I was fortunate that, you know, I used to sit in the classroom, you know, geography, and I was like, what are these people talking about? You know, on a ball, flying through space. You know, and that was even at a young age. I questioned everything. It was only when, like I say, YouTube came about, they started doing really serious research. And not only YouTube. Don't get me wrong. You know, I'm an avid reader. I read well before YouTube was about, and I still do. So I'm basically, you know, again, I've read many, you know, a lot of the texts. I've read a lot of works about science, basically, you know, and all different subjects. So I'm a well-read person. So what I'm trying to say is, you know, you are the only one. You're the only person that can take responsibility for this for yourself. Nobody's going to do it for you. You're not going to, you know, no. We're not there just to spoon feed it or whatever. You have to take responsibility and question that yourself, you know. And what I'm saying is nobody's going to do it for you, you know. Now, many people at Speaker's Corner, because I speak there regularly, and we all do, yeah. Yeah. So I basically get those two questions first, you know, and then. Do you always find this? The third question is, why are they doing it? Yeah. So who's doing it and why are they doing it? Yeah. So I would like to put it like this. If you've been kind of told one thing or one narrative all your life, then it limits your perception. It's, you know, telling everybody. See, the thing is, people, you know, those who are maybe in control cannot follow the general public around 24/7. There's cameras, of course, and there's the internet, but they cannot follow people around 24/7. They cannot follow you online 24/7 either, to a limited degree. So what they've done, it doesn't matter which religious background you're coming from, which cultural background you're coming from, whatever background you're coming from, this is a very good way to get everybody to believe in the same thing. and that is that they're on a ball, which is very limiting. In that idea itself, it's a very limiting concept.
Yeah.
That there's nowhere to go, that you're on this ball and you're insignificant.
Yeah.
And you came out of a Big Bang. I'm sorry. I don't accept that. And I have to make this very clearly. I didn't come from a Big Bang, and I'm not a monkey on a ball. And you can quote me for that as well.
I'm going to throw that one out to the chat room as well, you know. Can we all agree that these are the foundations that we're having these conversations on, you know? I think that's a good way to open where you're going with that. You know?
Because it's actually, it's actually, it's insulting our nothing. We can't have something out of nothing, yeah. So it's actually insulting our intelligence as human beings to think that we came out of a Big Bang, which is nonsense. Because history is not that long anyway. We don't know recorded history, but it's certainly, it's a lot shorter, thousands of years basically. Yeah. But we came out of nowhere, and there's maybe not tonight, but on another hangout, I may go into that.
If I get him here for long enough, guys, listen, we might pull an all-night.
I don't know about tonight, but we may get into that, where we actually came from. But that could be another hangout, basically, yeah. So they're insulting our intelligence. We didn't come from a Big Bang, and we're not a monkey on a spinning ball. It limits your perception. It really limits your perception, guys, because what you do, you go from that to that, and then it's very difficult to get out of that, yeah. So if they've got you trapped on this kind of, idea that you're on a ball, you can't go anywhere. You're insignificant. You're a speck of dust on a speck of dust. So that in itself is kind of insulting, But once you start researching, you can understand why they're doing it. It's very clever, because what they do, they limit your perception. Your perception, for example, if Roxanne told me, if for example, let's say we went to school and teacher told us, there's only fish and chips. That's all there is to eat. There's only fish and chips. So we would say fish and chips every day.
That's it. Yeah.
We don't know anything else, but there isn't. There's so much other choice. And there's all different Chinese food, Indian food, Mexican, whatever. Yeah. But what it does with that idea, that idea of you've been indoctrinated into, basically limits your perception. Now, if you go into, I'm going to go a little bit deeper now. Your perception. So if you're working from the perception that you live on a spinning ball, your reality is going to be that you live on a spinning ball. You understand this? So your mind is a very sensitive organ. So if somebody can control your perception, then they don't have to do any more. You do the rest. From that perception, you create your reality, which will be an underlining foundation would be that you're on a ball. Yeah. But if you don't have that perception, your foundation can be other models, or you can have a clearer perception, let's say. But can you I don't know whether I'm defining this well, but can you grasp what I'm saying? If your perception goes into your mind, let's say imagine like a download. You're downloading something from the internet, because our minds are just like the internet. Our brain functions like the internet, basically, yeah, or almost like a computer that's linked to the internet. The internet is all around us, Wi-Fi, whatever. That's also like how I don't know whether I want to go deep a little bit later, but that's also a part of how we function. So our mind is almost like a computer. So if the software is that you live on a spinning ball, Windows software, ball 1.0, then what's going to happen is your mind is going to create that reality. And you see what I'm getting at here? So you create the reality, which was the foundational part of it, is that you're on a spinning ball. So everything will come out of that. Yeah. Everything's going to come out of that. Yeah. But if you don't have that, you can create, what I'm saying here is if you actually in control of your own software, you can create your own reality. And that's what we're here for. We're co-creators in this reality. It doesn't matter which background you come from. We're all the same. We're all the same. Doesn't matter. Skin is just like it's just like a spacesuit, or not even space, but it's just like putting on a suit, basically. So it doesn't. Space, no, that's another story, and I'm not a proponent of space either, because I'll get into that in a bit more detail. But So basically, what I'm saying here, we're here for a purpose. It's up to you to find that purpose and to take responsibility for that purpose, and to then co-create your reality. I'm not saying you are fully 100%. You're co-creating the reality as you're going along. You're co-creating your reality. But it's almost like if you have like an old Windows 7 system, it's an old software. Yeah, but now it's Windows 10. There's not, you're very limited with Windows 7, but now it's Windows 10. You have a lot more options, and there's more than that beyond that. Yeah, and then there's Linux, and then there's Mac if you choose Mac as well. So what I'm saying is, if you're still in the old software, you can't progress. So you need to update your software to whichever that may be, for yourself, in order to be in sync with what's going on in the world, But let's say, so I'm using an analogy with computers here, but as a tech guy, I find that quite a little bit easier to do that and simplified, So what I'm saying is that if you have the right software, then you can co-create your reality as you're going along. Yeah, you are the co-creator. In fact, if you come to a point, if you do research, you come to understand how to co-create or how to create your reality. But if you're stuck in a paradigm, which is this ball, flying through space, it's very limiting. I'm sorry to say, guys, but it is completely limiting. And they've got you they've got you. They really have got you, because you think you just come here, it's a one-off, and then, you're on a ball flying through space, and that's it. You got to work every day, and then, a lot happening now. If you go online in the community, different communities, a lot more happening. So what I'm saying is, up to your responsibility. It's not up for anybody else. Nobody else has that ability. You cannot do it for somebody else. Nobody has the ability to create somebody else's reality. They can do it with perception. Like I say, perception is one way of doing it, but nobody has on an individual basis. Now, I'm talking on a group collective. I'm talking about an individual basis. You can take the responsibility for yourself. And the first step, I'm going to go a couple of steps. The first step is research, because it's all there. It's all on the internet. We never had the internet 20 years ago. So it was very slow. But now it's in the moment. It's actually boom. And you can research all of this on the internet. So it's up to the individual. It's not to be told by somebody else. It's up to the individual now to research all of this themselves and come to their own conclusions. I'm not asking you to believe them, or to come to the same conclusions I've come to. Come to your own conclusions, and then create your own perception. Again, that is very powerful. That having that perception of something, perception goes into the perception you have in your, almost like software. In your perception, that through your mind, your mind creates that reality. And for anybody listening, I actually dropped the ball a long time ago. And it's once you've sorry to use an analogy, but once you've actually, you drop the ball, basically, if you don't, think that you're on a ball anymore, I tell you, life changes for the better. Do you want to come in on that?
It does.
Yeah.
It does. Once you've gone through taking time to look at, how you've been lied to, because the fact is you have been lied to, it doesn't mean that you wake up to have some kind I feel like I'm living proof of that. When I get up in the morning, I'm a happier person as a result of knowing that I'm not living a lie anymore. Yeah.
Clearer? You find your mind's clearer. You don't get all that brain fog because you're thinking, well, you've got so many things you're thinking of. How can I say you're the point where you're starting is not actually is false. So things that come out of that may also be false. So I don't get the brain fog anymore. It might be because I'm vegan as well, but I don't get all that brain fog and all that, So what it's kind of almost like a detoxing your mind in some ways,
Yeah, it is. For me, the way I've been able to process it, cause it's not something you can do like cold turkey. You can't just come out of it and go into living an awake life.
It takes months, guys, years even.
Like you come to the realization pretty quickly that even though you're awake, you still are in I don't know what word to call it. Can you call it the matrix? I don't know. I don't really like that to use that word, but
You've still got to deal with things on a daily basis.
We still need, we still need to keep the roof over our head. We still need to be involved in the infrastructure, so to speak, of the reality in which we live in.
Yeah.
That be it a job, that be it your mortgage, that be it your rent, that be it your car payments. Those aspects of your life aren't just going to stop just because you've come across the truth. So for me, the first point was waking up my family.
Yes, important. Very important.
Waking up those around me was the most important, because going through my day-to-day life was becoming mundane. I was having mundane conversations. People weren't relating to where I was coming from.
EastEnders.
Yeah.
Just the same weather, repetitive. That's what I'm talking about, repetitive thought.
For me to live my day-to-day life and be a happy person, I couldn't live a lie. So waking up to a lie is one thing, but then living a lie to your friends and family, that's a whole nother stress altogether. So for me, I had to minimize that stress straight away so that I could get on with trying to be me.
Do you think that's where a lot of stress comes from? Being bogged down with all these beliefs and ideas.
Do you know what? I think a lot of the stress comes from...
Not on a personal level, just in general society.
I think a lot of the stress comes from the what will they think of me aspect. I think that's all it stems from. The what will they think of me? What will my job think of me? What will my friends think of me? What will my family think of me? What will my neighbours think of me?
Yeah.
I think that's...
Once you get over that hurdle, it's not... Actually, I think once you've done your first live and you've gone on YouTube, it's it's a hurdle, of course.
Yeah.
But once you get over that, it's it's a lot smoother.
Yeah, way smoother. I think once you kind of come out in public, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on Twitter, Instagram, or whether you've just gone out and had a human interaction with people. Before I made YouTube content, I was having everyday human interactions with people everywhere I went, everywhere, every place I went to, whether it was a supermarket, whether it was a doctor's, whether it was a school run, I was having human interactions with people. So it felt like a natural transition to take it from the streets onto online, and have this, which is what we're doing now.
And you can do it. You don't have to be so upfront about it. I mean, you can just drop little nuggets or seeds or whatever. You can just, hey, I watched the video last night. I'm, with friends or with, some people you meet, say, I'm not too sure, what it's about. Have you seen it? You don't have to say that, come out and you don't have to, the first things out of your mouth, you have to be like flat earth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Listen to where people are coming from. Not only sharing the information, but also listen to people. Listen to where those, because I found a lot, especially at Speaking Corner as well, because you're listening a lot. As well as speaking, you're also listening. So it's actually listening to people and seeing where, because sometimes, you might get people come and say, yeah, I'm on board with it. I've been doing this myself for years, or I've, been doing this for months. So what I'm saying is that you can just have, it doesn't have to be serious. You can just have casual conversations about it, or etc. But it certainly changed. It changed a lot for me. Certainly changed a lot. And I just got tired of being bogged down with all this, false stuff. False ideas, false. All this falseness, basically fake. You could say fake. This fake. And I just going into something. I actually done did a research recently, up to now as well. I mean, I don't watch TV. I haven't watched TV for many years, so I'm very selective what I watch, and certainly not advertisements and all that, because it's all subliminals and trying to get you to buy something. Yeah. So I don't watch TV. Never. I've never really watched TV so much. But you can still be, up to date by getting it all online. Doesn't mean you have to just transfer your 5 hours or 6 hours of TV onto watching, the same content online. What I'm saying is you can be very selective, and you can, when you're online, you can put something in an hour, what might take 10 hours on TV, or hundreds of hours on TV. They don't give you information. They just keep you, it's just like a hamster wheel, the TV, once you realize. not viewed any. I mean, I've done this for a while as well, but not viewed any adverts. Stayed clear of all of them. But even all the mainstream that you get online, I just said, right, I'm not touching it.
What about the news?
I've disconnected. I get the news, but I get it from web pages.
Okay.
So I don't watch it. I just read it.
Okay.
So I keep up to date like that. And of course, there's nothing wrong with watching 5-10 minute segments. It's fine, but you have to be very careful because they can actually steer the narrative and they can actually put it like a story, you know, like something that's a story, but they can give their kind of view, their view on it with an agenda behind it. You know, recently if a lot of British people are watching, I don't know for international views, but there's a mainstream documentary, like a soap, we call them, you know, not documentary, it's a drama, like a mainstream soap drama every weekly, couple of times a week. And it's called Coronation Street. I'm just going to describe this for people who are listening outside the UK or, you know, where it's not available. And it's something that's been around for about 50 years. And it's something just the British public have grown up with and etc. you know. But recently, they had I think it was last week, or was it? When was it? Last 2? I don't know, not too sure. Recent, they were in the pub as they do, and they were having discussions. Somebody brought up flat Earth, which was quite surprising. But if you can check out my channel, I've actually broken it down a little bit as well. Yeah. But if you actually realize how they've done it, it's almost like reverse psychology. So they put it in a way it's like not they've introduced it, but they put their angle on it. They want you to think of it. If you're, and if you're just skipping over, you're not really watching or you're listening or whatever, you know, it just passes you by. But as people who have researched it, you understand how they've done it. It's very subtle. It's very, very subtle, you know, how they introduced it. And then they kind of, you know, it's almost like they say, you know, truth is hidden in lies, basically.
If they click the link to your channel, they'll be able to just click it.
Yeah, just have a check out there. So, you know, it's something that's, so I just went through it a little bit. I mean, you could go to it a little bit deeper, but this is how the media tries to program the society to keep the narrative, to keep their narrative. And getting back to why they're doing it is because they want to keep the status quo, because they want to keep people in such a, almost like people like, you know, fueling this system. You know, your energy is actually fueling this system. You know, there's parts of it that are very positive, of course, and there's parts that are negative. I mean, you look at, there's another video on my channel, what they're doing to the oceans. You know, they're just polluting with plastics. And we can't go on like this, guys. Sorry, but we just cannot go on like this, because there will be a tipping point, you know. I'll do that in another video. But we cannot just keep consuming, because the rate of manufacture now in places like China, it's just, you know, when people do it on a smaller scale, maybe, you know, it was manageable. But when you do it on a mass scale with 1 billion people just producing and consuming at a rate, it's not sustainable, guys. It's not sustainable. So anyway, getting back to why they do it is because they want to control. It's all about power and control. So it's 3 things: money, power, and control. Money, where does money come from? Money does come from trees, paper. Money does grow on trees. It's in your face when you realize it's in your face. It does grow on trees, and it has no value. It's only the value we put into money. But materially, it has no value. And then with you know, if you get a bank loan or whatever, it's just numbers on a screen. So it's not even a material item. Yeah. So it's not about money, because these guys can print as much money as they want. They can print as much money, and they haven't been doing it for years, since 2008. Quantitative easing, number 15, number 25, number 35. I mean, it's probably up to about 7 now, but it'll continue. Where's all this money going, guys? Because we're not privy to this information. Where's all this money going? Vast amounts, billions, trillions. You know, where's all this money going? So, but it's not about the money, because the money, again, like it's almost like the native Indians. They said, when all the skies are polluted, when all the rivers are polluted, when there's no food, you can't eat paper. You can't. So it's not about the money. They can print. You know, these guys are running the, you know, the Federal Reserve and all those, you know, they can print as much money as they want. It's not about the money. It's about power and control. It's about controlling the society. And I just mentioned how they control. Doesn't matter where you're from, America, Australia, Canada, the Middle East, from China, from Hawaii. It doesn't matter where you're from, but this narrative can control your perception. Yeah, that's how they control the world, guys, with the same narrative. Again, they get you to control your own perception. They try to control your perception through their narrative. Yeah. So it's about power and control. And it's about maintaining that power. Yeah. It's about maintaining that power. They want to keep the status quo. But I'm sorry, guys, if anybody's listening, they're in the, upper echelons up there, and you're willing to come and debate me, and you're certainly willing, you're more than welcome to email me or to contact me. But this system cannot go on like this. I'm talking from an ecological standpoint. This system cannot go on. Just using and abusing nature and just making merchandise and stuff that, you buy today doesn't work tomorrow, But, I'm willing to go online, willing to have a debate, willing to go live with anybody who thinks they're up in the upper echelons there, who's willing to have a debate. It's like John Lennon said, look at his quotes. Yeah, he doesn't know why they're doing it. But it's about control and power. So I'm more than willing. Please contact me. But I'm coming not from a political aspect. I'm not getting into politics here, and I'm not getting into although that plays a part. But I'm not getting into so much into the financials. I'm getting into from an ecological standpoint. We cannot go on like this. We cannot go on. Nature will not allow it, guys. And there's all the texts, all the ancient texts. It's all written there. And all the road marks are there, the volcanoes going off, the earthquakes. We cannot go on like this. We cannot go on. We cannot go on producing all this stuff we don't need and buying all this stuff we don't need. We cannot go on like this. Yeah? So that's what I'm getting. Anybody wants to contact me, you're more than welcome. And it's all about maintaining that power and control. But once you understand once you've researched the system, it's fundamentally, it's quite simplistic in many ways. But there are other ways of living your life. Basically, what I'm saying, there are other options. Yeah. But I'm trying to make this as clear as I can. We cannot go on living with this mass consumerism and this mass using all the resources of what's here in this plane. Now, the point before, we're going to go off in about 5 minutes. We'll keep to an hour. This is where flat Earth becomes, and the stationary level plane comes into this. Because if you look at a guy called Richard E. Byrd, Admiral Byrd.
Admiral Byrd.
Yeah, if you look up the guy Admiral Byrd, he did many expeditions in the 1940s and the 1950s. I think he did about 6 or 7 expeditions. It's all documented. It's all in written word and also in photography as well. And expeditions. And after one of his expeditions, he came back. He says what they saw was basically, so you mentioned, getting back to the continents are there, all the water's all around, it's completely level. How can I make this point clear? Eric DeBay is just a friend of Eric DeBay, Eric DeBay has got on board. Hi, Eric. Big up, Eric. Eric DeBay, if I just want to mention this as well, Eric brought out a video many years ago called 200 Proofs We're Not on a Spinning Ball. I mean, it just lays out in 2 hours. Brilliant. If you're watching, Eric, big shout out to you because you've done a lot of work. You've put in so much effort and, well done. Well done. So getting back to that. So basically, his friend has actually put up $10,000. That's how confident he is. He's put up $10,000 that for somebody to prove, and we're talking proper proof now. We're not talking, ideas, theories, assumptions. Heard it from my friend. Heard it from this, science geek, or heard it in. On a lecture or something, or somebody said this, or some dead scientist said that, or somebody else said that. No, he wants proper natural science. We're talking about the scientific method here, which is observable, measurable, repeatable. So he's put up $10,000, and he's quite sure that his money's safe. Eric, your money's safe, and also your buddy's money's safe. Quite sure of that. But I will also I'm not going to put a monetary value on this. I will put up a prize, and I won't say what this prize is. It's a surprise prize. If anybody can, I'll make the same challenge. If anybody can come up with proof that you live on a spinning ball, I'll give you a surprise prize. I'm not going to say what it is. Yeah, but I very much doubt anybody who's going to take me up on that challenge, and anybody will come with proof. Yeah. So getting back to that, so with the continents all around, getting back to Admiral Byrd, he said, so beyond the oceans, the southern oceans, because you imagine the continents are there, the water is always all around us, yeah? And then you've got this, water always has to have a container. It doesn't matter if it's a cup of tea, a bath, whatever, it has a container. So the Antarctica is all around us. Anywhere south, is completely all around us, yeah? And that is the container. So ice melting becomes water into the oceans. Water freezing becomes the ice. It's a natural system, basically, yeah? So what he said, he saw this when he went to Antarctica. And for anybody who's thinking about going down there, it's really, it's not something you can,
parallel.
It's not something you can do easily. And and if you think you're going on a tour, $20,000 tour, do you really think you're going to Antarctica? Because there's evidence there that people think they're going somewhere else, you know, Argentina or some remote island or whatever. There's no proof that you're in actually Antarctica. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he said what he saw was he saw a 200-foot ice wall, then a plateau. And you can check this. You can verify this through his research, through his account. So he said and then there was a plateau for about 20 more miles, 20, 30 miles. Then there was a mountain range, which went up about two miles up, huge mountain range, basically, yeah. And then he said when they flew over that mountain range, because they had to do like staged, fuel, landing, etc. It took them a long time. These were months-long expeditions. Not as easy as it could be done these days, if it's ever been done. Because nobody, in my opinion, and your researchers, nobody's ever crossed Antarctica. Nobody's ever done a north to south circumnavigation. Nobody. It's never been done. Of course, we go east to west. We circumnavigate. Every day we fly, but nobody's ever done a north to south. And then past so-called history, but nobody's ever done that. There's never been a flight around the poles, yeah, because you can't. According to Admiral Byrd, you can't do it because Antarctica is all around us. So beyond, he said, when they flew over the mountains, basically his words, not mine. He said we came across a continent larger than America. That's his account, not mine. I'm just relating that to you. So I would put it to anybody. We're just coming on an hour now. I'll just go a little bit over. Anybody, if there's more land, there's more resources. If there's more resources, we don't need to have wars over resources. And we can all live in harmony. All right, I think we're going to wrap it. Do you want to?
Yeah. I just want to say a massive thanks to everybody that's taken the time out to listen to us this evening for this first hour.
Just over, it's a couple of minutes.
Just over an hour.
We're going to cut these into 1 hour sections because, I know in the Hangout, if you get into second hour, third hour, you start falling asleep or whatever, or you just kind of, so we're going to do, don't know how many hours we're going to do. We'll just do probably minimum 3.
Yep.
We'll do 1 hour sections.
Yeah, so we're going to literally be back in like 5-10 minutes. We're going to
let's say 15, 20 minutes. 15, 20 minutes, yeah, guys.
And then we'll be back again. All right. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Cheers.